I, 38M, have been married to my wife, Jenna, 36F, for 11 years. We met in college, fell hard for each other, and got married after 3 years of dating. She was always a go-getter, top of her class, driven, and laser-focused on her career. That was one of the things that drew me to her. She had ambition, direction. I was more laid back, a bit more spontaneous, but we balanced each other out, or so I thought. Jenna works in corporate finance, and over the last couple of years, she really started climbing the ladder. Long hours, frequent travel, conference calls at weird times. I didn't love it, but I respected it. I tried to support her. I picked up more responsibilities at home, cooking, errands, laundry, anything to make her life easier. We didn't have kids, by choice, so it was manageable. It started about a year ago. Jenna said she was being considered for a promotion that could involve working part-time out of another office downtown, plus occasional work in a satellite branch about 45 minutes away. I didn't question it. I was proud of her. But over the next few months, her behavior began to change in subtle ways. She started keeping her phone on silent, screen facing down, even at home. She would get up early, sometimes at 5 a.m., saying she had to beat traffic or get a jump on reports. Occasionally, she wouldn't come home until 9 or 10 p.m. And then there were the overnights, corporate retreats, team bonding events, client networking dinners. Once or twice a month. I didn't want to be that husband, jealous, insecure. She had always been faithful, or, at least, I had no reason to doubt her. But the distance between us started to feel different. Not just physical, emotional. I'd ask how her day went, and she'd respond with one-word answers. She didn't laugh at my dumb jokes anymore. Sex became almost non-existent. Then there was the email. One evening, she left her laptop open on the dining table and went to shower. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. But I saw a notification pop up in the corner of the screen. Reservation confirmed. The Lancaster, Suite 307. 2 guests. I stared at it for a full 30 seconds. My stomach dropped. I didn't recognize the name of the place, but I screenshotted it on my phone just in case. When she came back, I acted normal. But that night, while she was asleep, I looked it up. The Lancaster was a boutique hotel downtown, not the kind of place you stayed at for business. The rooms had mood lighting, big bathtubs, velvet headboards. Romantic. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, while Jenna was in the shower again, I checked her purse. I felt like a scumbag, but something inside me just had to know. I found a key. Not a car key, not a work key. A single brass key on a tiny keychain that read, H12. No explanation. The key didn't match anything in our house. It wasn't for her office either. I'd seen her work badge and building access cards before. This key looked older, worn down, like it had been in use for a while. My mind immediately jumped to the worst possible conclusions, but I didn't have proof. Not yet. That day, while she was at work, I took a risk. I called in sick, took the screenshot of the hotel booking and the key, and drove downtown. I walked into the Lancaster like I belonged there and approached the front desk. I didn't want to tip my hand too much, so I said, "Hey, my wife said she left her sweater in room 307 a few nights ago. She was here for a work thing. Mind if I check if it's in the lost and found?" The receptionist glanced at the computer and said, "That room's not checked in right now." What name was the reservation under? I paused. Jenna Langston, she typed. Sorry, I don't see anything under that name for the past few weeks. Now my stomach twisted in a new direction. Had she used a fake name? Or, worse, was someone else booking the room? I left, more confused than before, and sat in my car for a while, just thinking. I pulled out the key again. H12. Not a hotel room. Probably not an office. That's when the idea hit me. I searched, apartment complex plus H1 to plus, our city, on my phone. After a few dead ends, I found a hit, an apartment complex about 20 minutes away called Hollow Creek Residences. Unit H12 existed. 1 bedroom. Short-term leases available. I couldn't believe it. I literally sat there staring at the listing for a full minute. My wife was making 6 figures. She could afford to secretly rent a place. But why? What the hell for? I drove there. It was a modest complex. Nothing fancy. Brick buildings, second-story walk-ups, neatly trimmed hedges. I walked the row until I found Unit H12. And the key worked. The lock clicked open. I pushed the door in, heart racing so hard I could barely breathe. I stepped into a fully furnished, 1-bedroom apartment. Clean, quiet, neutral furniture, some women's clothes in the closet, a few basic kitchen supplies. No pictures, no signs of roommates. But on the nightstand her necklace, a small silver pendant I'd given her on our 5th anniversary. She used to wear it all the time, Now I knew why she stopped. It was here. I sat on the edge of the bed, stunned. What was this place? A secret hideaway, an escape, a love nest. I didn't want to touch too much. I just stood there, listening, trying to hear if there was any movement from a neighboring unit. I knew I was breaking 100 different lines: trust, privacy, maybe even the law. But this wasn't some misunderstanding anymore. Before I left, I opened one of the drawers. Inside, condoms. A box. Not the brand we used. Half empty. My chest went ice cold. I walked out of that apartment feeling like a ghost of myself. Driving home felt surreal. I was on autopilot, the world outside a blur. I had 1,000 thoughts swirling in my head and zero answers. My wife had a second apartment. She kept jewelry there. Clothes. Condoms. Who was she? When I got home, I just sat in my garage for a while, staring at the steering wheel. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went completely numb. The kind of numb that scares you, because it doesn't feel temporary, like something inside had just shut off. That night, I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I needed to know more. If I was going to blow this up, I needed the full picture, because some pathetic, wounded part of me still wanted it to be anything but what I knew deep down it was. So I waited. Over the next week, I tracked her every move. I took a day off and followed her after work. She didn't go to the gym like she said. She didn't go to a team dinner. She drove to Hollow Creek, Unit H12. I watched her enter the apartment with a grocery bag and what looked like a bottle of wine. She was smiling. She never smiled like that around me anymore. I parked down the block and waited for 2 hours. Right as I was about to leave, a car pulled into the lot. A silver Lexus. Out stepped a man, tall, fit, probably mid-40s, wearing business casual. Confident. He walked straight into her unit. She opened the door before he even knocked. That was it. That was all I needed. But I still didn't go in. I didn't scream or bang on the door. I just drove away. Again. Like a coward. Or maybe like someone still clinging to the tiniest shred of denial. I needed proof. So I bought a cheap GPS tracker online and stuck it under her car bumper the next morning. I installed a voice recorder in her car, too. Tucked it deep under the passenger seat. I hated what I was doing, but I had to know how deep this went. Was this a fling? A second relationship? A double life? The next few days gave me more answers than I ever wanted. The voice recorder picked up one call between her and him. She called him baby. She said she missed him. She said she loved the way things were now. Quiet, easy, no expectations. She said she was glad I was too checked out to notice anything. I threw up listening to it. On the tracker, she visited H12 3 times that week. Twice during work hours. Once overnight. She told me she was in Denver for a training seminar. She wasn't. She was 12 miles away, sleeping with someone else in a rented apartment we were probably both paying for. That weekend, I waited until she went grocery shopping and drove back to H12. I needed one more look, one more piece of closure. I don't know why. Maybe just to burn it into my brain forever. Inside, the sheets were rumpled. There was a glass of red wine still sitting on the counter. In the trash, a takeout bag from our favorite Thai place. The one we used to order from on lazy Friday nights. That one detail broke me more than anything else. She brought him into our rituals. I left the apartment shaking. It was one thing to suspect an affair, another thing entirely to see your life, your habits, your memories being replayed with someone else. It felt like I had been replaced, like some understudy had stepped in for me, quietly, and the show just kept going. That night, I didn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I just laid in bed staring at the ceiling while Jenna slept beside me, like nothing was wrong. She even curled up against me once in the middle of the night. For a second, I almost let myself pretend that none of it was real. But the smell of wine on her breath hit me like a wave, and I knew. I started collecting everything. Screenshots, voice recordings, GPS logs. I even printed the lease for H12 from the public property records. It was in her name. She had signed a 9-month lease. 3 months before I found out. She had been living a second life for almost a year. I talked to a lawyer. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. The lawyer told me the best thing to do was keep quiet and keep gathering. Divorce laws in our state favored the cleaner party, especially if there was infidelity and financial deception involved. If I played it smart, I could come out on top. Financially, at least. But emotionally, I felt hollow. I stopped looking her in the eyes. I gave up trying to initiate any kind of intimacy. We were roommates now, strangers under the same roof. I wondered how she didn't notice the shift in me. Or maybe she did. Maybe she just didn't care. The final straw came on a random Tuesday night. She was supposed to be working late. I knew she wasn't. I watched her drive to Hollow Creek again, with a bottle of wine in a bag. But this time she didn't go alone. I watched from a distance as the same man, the one with the Lexus, walked up to her in the parking lot, kissed her, and carried her bag inside. They laughed like teenagers. She looked younger, happier, lighter, like I was the burden she'd shed. That night, while she was gone, I packed a bag. Just a few things: clothes, laptop, charger, the essentials. I booked a hotel room near my work, and I left. No note, no warning. The next morning, she called me 14 times, texted me non-stop. Where are you? Are you okay? What the hell is going on? Please come home. I didn't respond. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. Then I sent her one email. I know everything. The apartment, him, the calls, the lies. The keys are on the counter. You can have the house. I want my life back. She didn't reply. Not for 3 days. On the 4th day, she finally emailed me back. No call, no text. Just a cold, calculated message, like it had been drafted and reworded a dozen times before hitting send. I don't know what you think you found, but I wish you'd just talk to me first. I never wanted things to get to this point. Please let's meet and discuss this like adults. Like adults. That line nearly made me laugh. She had been living a second life for almost a year, with another man, in another home, and now she wanted civility. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to my attorney, and let him handle everything. Within a week, the paperwork was moving. She tried calling again, this time sobbing on voicemail, apologizing, saying she felt lost, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that she loved us both in different ways. That one stuck with me. She loved us both. So this wasn't just lust, not a one-night stand or midlife thrill. It was real for her, or at least, she had convinced herself it was. I didn't reply. Not once. I didn't scream at her. I didn't show up at H12. I didn't even tell her I'd been to the apartment, or that I had photos of her with him. I let her drown in her own silence. Eventually, her lawyer reached out with a settlement offer. She wanted to keep the house. She offered to buy me out. I agreed. I didn't want that house anymore. Every corner of it had become haunted, by lies, by secrets, by memories that weren't real. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. No hidden doors, no second keys, no lies. A few weeks later, a mutual friend told me Jenna had moved in with the guy from Hollow Creek. Apparently, they were already talking about starting a new life together. No wedding plans yet, just a quiet, low-key thing. That was fine with me. I blocked her number, deleted our shared accounts, packed up the last decade of my life into a few boxes, and left the rest behind. And here's the part no one tells you. After all that pain, the betrayal, the humiliation, the rage, what's left isn't anger. It's emptiness. It's waking up alone, and not knowing what to do with your day. It's making dinner for one. It's seeing an old photo and not recognizing the people in it anymore. But slowly, that emptiness starts to feel like freedom. I go on walks now. I read more. I sleep through the night. I'm learning to be okay by myself. People ask if I'd ever take her back. Not in this life. Not in the next. It's been 8 months since I walked out. Divorce finalized. Assets divided. Names removed from all the paperwork. My lawyer even complimented me, said it was one of the cleanest ugly divorces he'd seen. That made me laugh. I didn't expect to hear from her again. But then, last week, I did. She emailed me. Subject line: just wondering. I stared at it for a while before opening it. Her tone was different this time. No pretense. No denial. I don't even know if this email will reach you, or if you'll even want to read it. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for all of it. Not the cliché kind of sorry. Not the kind where I hope you'll forgive me. I just needed you to know that what I did was selfish and cowardly, and I live with it, every day. She went on to say things between her and the other guy didn't work out. Apparently, once the secrecy and excitement wore off, reality set in. She realized she didn't really know him, not outside of stolen weekends, and take-out dinners and sneaking around. He had no interest in a real life with her. Said she had too much baggage. She said she's in therapy now, trying to rebuild from the rubble she created. That she sometimes drives past our old house, and wonders what would have happened if she had just talked to me, instead of running away into someone else's arms. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. What she needed was absolution. But she doesn't get that from me. Not anymore. Because here's the truth. I'm doing okay. Better than okay. Actually, I've started seeing someone new. Nothing serious yet. Just dinners, long conversations, the occasional overnight. But it's honest. It's slow. It's real. She knows everything about my past. I didn't hide any of it. And somehow, she still looks at me like I'm whole, not broken. And maybe I'm finally starting to believe it too. I still think about Jenna sometimes. Not out of longing, just as a reminder. A reminder that even the people closest to you can wear masks. That comfort doesn't equal safety. That sometimes, the greatest betrayal is wrapped in routine and disguised as normal. But more importantly, a reminder that leaving, even when it hurts, can be the start of something better. Because I may have lost the life I thought I wanted, but I found myself in the ashes.